And then all of a sudden, Eric Adams started speaking about the mess he was left with and how he had to rescue us from the abyss.
If all the professionals were all that good, why we were in such a mess when I inherit this city?
Now, wait a second. That's so contradictory to what he said in our final debate at Eyewitness, Channel 7 News. There were all the Heckle and Jekyll reporters not giving me a chance to speak, but they said, what kind of a grade would you give Comrade Bill de Blasio? Listen to Eric Adams. If it was such a mess, why did he give him this grade?
And I would give him a B+ as a grade.
A B+. So wait a second, a contradiction here. So according to Eric Adams, who is de Blasio 2.0, and understand there is a raging debate in the mornings here where so many feel that Bill de Blasio was lazy, clearly lazy, but now Eric Adams is crazy. And you have Noam Laden, who claims that Bill de Blasio was the worst mayor, and now Sid Rosenberg used to be friends with Eric Adams is saying, yeah, but Eric is crazy. And then all of a sudden, Eric Adams, because of the urgings of his, what he calls his sister ordained by God, she speaks in his ear every day, Ingrid P. Lewis Martin, said a couple of months ago, God returned to him. Remember, he'd been in a hiatus in, 30 years? And then God had something new to say.
And let me tell you what happened a couple of months ago. That same message I got 30 years ago, a few months ago, I woke up, same state. God said, talk about God. And I started to say, don't tell me about separation of church and state.
No. He's busy, too busy speaking in tongues. So let me get this straight, Lou. 30 years ago, he woke up in a cold sweat when he was in the police department. And God told him directly, we're not talking to an angel of mercy, no. Like in the case of Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Spoke to him directly and said he would be the mayor on January 1st, 2022. And then just a few months ago, God returned after a 30-year hiatus to guide him under the influence of his sister ordained by God, Ingrid P. Lewis Martin. If you don't believe me, you can read it in the New York Times.
Don't tell me that when you took prayer out of school, guns came in. Don't tell me that I have to remove my feeling of God. And you saw what happened. You saw all the front pages in the national stories. You know, how dare the most powerful mayor on the globe start talking about God? Because I don't care what anyone say, it's time to pray. It's time to pray.
Time to pray for us all, because we are sliding into the abyss. This city is getting worse than it was under Comrade Bill de Blasio, the part-time mayor, the dope from Park Slope, who, along with his wife Charlene, smoking Maui Wowie and Hindu Kush at night on the back porch of Gracie Mansion, stole $1.5 billion over 5 years in a fake program called Thrive that was supposed to help the emotionally disturbed. And Eric Adams has just changed the name and continues the program and not dealt with the EDPs. But then he talked about children. He said it's because of the children that he has been motivated to continue on against all the attacks that the media has waged on him.
They start their day going to the local bodega, getting cannabis and fentanyl, and they sit in the classroom trying to learn when we know what cannabis does to the brain of a child at an early age. How are the children?
Hold on a second. The day after he beat me, he appeared on the Ed Sullivan stage, Stephen Colbert show, to a national audience, giving Stephen Colbert marijuana. Remember what a goofball, what a stonard he was on that night of his victory?
One of my best gifts, as you know, marijuana is legal. I have raw.
I did not know.
I have raw.
I am not aware, Mr. Mayor. I'm not into that scene.
I have bamboo.
Oh,
You
these
know,
are big.
and I can't give you this gift. I'll give it to you later, you know.
Like a teenager. Remember when we first smoked reefer? It was ragweed back in the 60s, 70s. Like a real goofball. And now he's railing against the fact that children have access to buying weed and smoking weed in all these illegal pop-up shops, 2,000 of them. And he won't do anything to shut them down. Wow. And then on Father's Day, because this is when he gave that holy roller speech, God was speaking through him. He said that his son should hate him. I got 3 sons. He has 1 son. So I guess all 3 of my sons, until they're 21, should hate me right down to the marrow of my bone.
My son is supposed to hate me until he's old enough to say, now I understand what you're trying to say. No one knows that better than this church.
Now, hold on a second. Could I hear that again? So up until the age of 21, legally when they can be on their own, he's suggesting that sons should hate their father. Man, I'm going to have to recalibrate my sons, Anthony and Carter and Hunter, to hate me because none of them are 21 yet.
My son is supposed to hate me until he's old enough to say, now I understand what you're trying to say. No one knows that better than this church.
Now, you see, the reason that I would not understand that is my complexion is not my protection. I'm a Caucasoid Caucasian. Cracker. Remember how he used to call the cops that he served with? I kicked those crackers' asses. Remember that? He tells the black congregation a word that is a form of the technology that exists. When you don't want to use the term cracker, you use another term. Lou, let's go to that holy roller speech that Eric Adams gave, inspired by his sister, ordained by God. The person who controls City Hall now, the female Rasputin, the Svengali Ingrid P. Lewis Martin.
Don't be so Yankee-eyed that we have disbanded what we know is the right thing to do. I'm not trying to be popular. Let's be clear. I'm not trying to put my finger in the air and see where the wind blow and see what's right and what's wrong.
Don't be Yankee eyes. And so there was James Flippin, obviously, no streets march, assuming he was referring to the New York Yankees, not the New York Mets. What a schmuck, what a putz. He means Connecticut Yankee, White Wasps, the ultimate in McWhitey Whitey. Oh, my God, I got to teach everybody what the hell is. I should be his translator, the white translator for black speak when Eric Adams decides to get on a stage of a black church and rail against crackers like you and me. And then, of course, he says of God, same voice that brought him here going to sustain him here, because remember, he's got that pipeline to God. God has a conversation with him all the time.
The same voice that brought me here is going to sustain me here. That is why I am what I am. And I walk in my power. I walk in my glory.
He's an untouchable. Because God has protected him and God is on his side. So don't you think that you're going to take Eric Adams down. He thinks he's going to the White House. The way he's running City Hall less than 2 years, I think he'll be going in chains and shackles, the daisy chain perp walk to the big house. I mean, as a betting man. And then, of course, he goes on, he's railing and railing about the media. That's why Noam Laden, James Flippin, and members of the press corps at Room 9 at City Hall go so easy on him, because they're predominantly white, and he knows how to bully them. Listen to his analogy of the way he thinks that the media treats him by whipping him, by treating him, a.k.a. like a slave.
They decided his punishment was to be whipped. And they took off his shirt before they whipped him. And they looked at his back, and he had a bunch of scars on there. And he told them, what could you do to me? I've been beat already. What do they think they can do to me? You try to beat me with your news articles? I got the scars already. You try to beat me with your commentary? I got the scars already. You can't do anything to me.
Well, Eric Adams, the rest of those McWhitey reporters and commentators will back off because you'll call them all racist, as you always do. You give them the scarlet level. But, I do that here, and you can't touch me. Everybody knows I'm not a racist, even though you've called me, let's see, during the campaign, you called me a racist, misogynist, a sexist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, any phobes you called me. And come on, Eric, it doesn't work with me. It may work with the others. You tame them, you claim they're treating you like a slave on a plantation, that you're the field black guy instead of the house black guy, and I'm sort of improving the language the way it's normally used. But watch, the McWhitey's will back off of him like there's no time tomorrow. And then he told that congregation, God has showed him that he has the power to make a difference in all of our lives.
I know whose voice I hear. I know my role. This is our moment. It's a moment where those who are in jail can say, my mayor was in jail. It's a moment when those who are living on the verge of homelessness say, my mayor lived on the verge of homelessness. Those who sit in school because they have learning disabilities, my mayor has a learning disability. I am the perfectly imperfect child of God that shows the power of God.
I deal with people like Eric Adams every day in the streets, in the subways, and the parks, and they tell me that God talks to them directly. They're called schizophrenic. There are 5 levels of schizophrenia, and these are one of the levels. And then finally he says, no matter what, we all got to get down on our knees and pray.
Pastor, you're right. No matter what they say, it's time to pray.
Yeah, we got to pray. After 8 years at de Blasio, single-handedly destroying the city that we love. And now, not even 2 years of Eric Adams. He's crazy. Right? Let's face it, de Blasio was lazy. Eric Adams is certifiably crazy. Some of you will flee out of fright and continue the exodus out of New York City. And others of you will say, hell no, we got to stand and fight for what we know is right against the man who stole $1.5 billion, him and his wife, de Blasio and Charlene, and got away with it. And Eric Adams, who says that he's guided by God, as he's the captain of the Titanic, and he expects all of us to go down with the ship. Hell no, Eric. We ain't going down with your ship and your false preaching.